It has been a tri-state tradition for literally thousands of people who go to Kings Island every year on the 4th of July. Hello, everyone. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans, because that's who we are and that's who we care about. It's the summer's intermission, shall we say, Don? It's like
It
the
is.
all-star game of summer.
Yeah, it really feels like you're at the halfway point of, the summer season at Kings Island when you hit the 4th of July. That back half goes pretty quick. But, for me, that was a tradition every 4th of July, from 1981 to 1990. That's where I was at Kings Island. And, of course, when I worked there, the 17th season, was always there on the 4th. But, Brian, what about for you? Have you visited the park on the 4th?
Yeah, many times. It's kind of funny because the activities at the park, if you look at what they're advertising, it's like, oh, rides and foods and a water park. It's like, that's every day. So the stuff, it's from what we can gather, there's nothing particularly special going on during the day, but we do have word that there is an extended fireworks show.
It's like last year, about 20 minutes. It's going to have, the lasers, the drones, the fireworks, the music themed, toward the 4th of July. And that it's always a spectacular show that Kings Island does on the 4th. So, a 20-minute show, that's going to make it one of the most immersive firework displays that you're going to see in the greater Cincinnati area. And like I mentioned at the top, there's literally thousands of people that it's an annual tradition, where we're going to see fireworks. Kings Island.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, because I feel like the nightly fireworks will be tough for them to take it away because it's so ingrained. It's been part of Kings Island before Kings Island was Kings Island. It goes back to the Coney days. Mm-hmm. But we don't know exactly what's going on for the 4th this year as far as the contents of the show, which I wouldn't expect to know that. I wouldn't want to know that. I want to be surprised. But last year's show was one of my favorite fireworks shows ever. And they had some cool stuff. If you're watching the YouTube video, like you should be by searching for Tower Topics on YouTube, you can see that, like, there's Lady Liberty, the Statue of Liberty, and drones.
It's amazing what they can do with the drones, isn't it? To really enhance these kind of shows where before it was just 20 minutes of nothing but fireworks going off. So, and then you add in the lasers. It's going to be spectacular. And the other part about it too is, you think about the 4th of July and the way the culinary experience has really improved in recent years at Kings Island. Mm-hmm. You can let Chef Perez and the culinary team do the cooking for you on the 4th of July. They have Coney barbecue now. That's got the perfect 4th of July type food. Pigpen's Mess Hall. That's got some of the same things that you would find if you're out, doing a picnic or something somewhere. So you don't even have to cook out. Just go to Kings Island, enjoy the food, watch the fireworks. It's going to be a fun and memorable experience for you for the 4th of July.
Yeah, that is the cool. You don't want to go to a theme park and just eat like a normal cheeseburger. You want to do the barbecue stuff because of America. But again, the cool part about this, though, is if you really wanted to, you could still do. If you're local to Cincinnati, Stricker's Grove is open to the public that day. There's a mm-hmm. million things going on. You can still do that and still catch the fireworks at Kings Island on the 4th.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Stricker's Grove, because there's only a couple of times a year where, just anyone can go and experience that park. So that would be a great idea, spend part of the day at Stricker's Grove and then come over to Kings Island in the evening and enjoy the fireworks.
Yeah, get your meal and relax for the evening and celebrate America with the fireworks show. Let
me ask you this, Ryan. Now, you said you've gone many times to Kings mm-hmm. Island for the 4th of July. And we talked about, we don't know if there's any other, activities around it. You were there, last night. Did it look like anything around International Street was decorated with any kind of bunting or any of that type of stuff?
No. I not that I can recall. Now, they, in their defense, it is, they're only doing stuff on the 4th, so they have a couple days as of this recording, and they were in the process of taking down Food and Wine. So the decor team, which is fantastic, is very, very busy. Mm-hmm. So they usually do the bunting and, that sort of stuff. They put the stars up that they've had since the beginning of time. And I'm sure that you'll see all that. But when we talk about celebrating the 4th of July at Kings Island, I think back to the Paramount days. Like I remember they had an Elvis impersonator, they had skydivers, they had double dutch. I think it was like the Mason Rockets. They were like semi-pro or just very talented high school kids or something that did performances every hour. There was a lot going on for the 4th of July, and it culminated in a fireworks show. Now, what's better, this one or the one that they had in the past? It's hard to say. They were much bigger in the past, but they didn't have drones or lasers. So pick your poison,
No, didn't have that. I remember the years when they would have the fireworks going off from the Eiffel Tower. It was just really, really immersive back then. But no, I think it's really been a good show too the past couple years, 3 years with the drones being incorporated into it. You know, I think whoever goes, it's going to be a great time for you on the 4th.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about the fireworks being shot off the Eiffel Tower because they did that in like 2004, and then they painted it that off season. They didn't want to do it in 2005 because they just painted the tower.
Well, yeah, that was spectacular. I mean, there's a photo that is still out there.
Yep, that's what I'm pulling up right now.
Yeah, it shows the fireworks. Just really just firing off, on all cylinders from the Eiffel Tower. Plus, you had it back in the spot where they launch them at night. A lot of different angles. One of the things that if you're talking about a parks that do the fireworks show and really go all out, Six Flags Fiesta Texas, they have 90 different angles where they're firing.
Any place that they can put fireworks sites, they do it.
They do, but 90 different angles. And I have a friend that works there, and he was telling me when I saw him in January in Texas that he had to get video, try to capture video. Different people around the park capturing video, and he said as he's shooting, he's like ducking because these things are being fired off, real close to where he was. But they're shooting them off everything, and that is super impressive. Now, we don't expect Kings Island to go to that degree with it, but just imagine if they did. And it's, you got 364 acres and they're firing it from everywhere. How awesome would that be with the Eiffel Tower as the backdrop for that?
Yeah. So this is, for those of you who are audio listeners who should be on YouTube right now, this is an old book from 2003 or 4, the unofficial guidebook to Paramount's Kings Island. And by Charles Infacino, who I didn't talk to, but I did see at the park the other day. So I don't know if you listen, Charles, but hello, I miss you. But here's the thing. The people that I was talking to about that, this is the same photo that you were referencing. This is also hanging in the Fest House behind one of the new bars.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone says that was from Nights of Fire 2005. That was not, because this book predates that. This book came out in like 2002 or 2003. So this photo is probably from the 80s.
Right.
Additionally, I don't recognize, I think some of this might be Photoshopped.
Some of it might be, yeah, a little bit. But I think coming off the sides of the tower, no, I don't think that is Photoshopped, but off to the, adding the other fireworks.
I think it might be, because that's shooting off almost 100 feet in each direction. I think it might be exaggerated a little bit. Well, with Nights of Fire 2004, they had these burning orbs that fell off the tower, and they also lit up some sort of strobe thing on one of the platforms at the top. Then the next year, 2005, I believe, they went to like a thing where they projected onto the tower. We didn't have the technology to projection map, so it wasn't like they made the tower falling, but they put stars on it and stuff, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if it was that year or the following year, they did fireworks in 3D, where they had fireworks in 3 different sites. That was one of the biggest fireworks shows that Kings Island had ever done.
Right. Now, one of the draws in past years, but it hasn't been the last couple of years, is the park used to annually be open until midnight on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Now it's the traditional 10 p.m. close. I think that's a little disappointing to some longtime visitors to Kings Island, but you did see a high number of guests as soon as the fireworks were over. I mean, it had been a long day for them. They headed out. I don't know how many were even aware that it was open till midnight. But for those that, love those night rides on the Beast and Diamondback and Orion, the Racer, Mystic Timbers, that's something I wish we'd see back again in the years to come, as keeping the park open until midnight on the 4th of July. That made it a little bit different than just another day in the park.
Yeah. In fact, I remember for years we used to, when the calendar came out, the exciting thing was, oh, how many midnight close Saturdays do we have this year and stuff. The problem is, though, is I honestly think it was sandbagged, because I think that a lot of people didn't want to work till midnight. So why put the effort into making it successful? But people are trained like a Pavlovian thing to, like, fireworks are done, time to leave. And they do announce, like, enjoy the rest of your night. But I think that if they made it so there was a reason to stick around, that's when you start seeing the success with it. And I think that there was money to be made, but there was not a lot of forest to be seen through the trees. For example, in June, if you're closed at midnight, I mean, after 10 o'clock, it gets cold. So I bet they sell a lot of long sleeve shirts and hoodies and stuff like that late. But, if you're not keeping people in the park, you're not getting that kind of return.
No.
But
for me, it was always a great opportunity in the 1980s when they would be open until midnight to, after watching the fireworks, I was always able to pick up, anywhere from, 8 to maybe 12 extra rides on the racer from, 10:30 until midnight. So that was always something I looked forward to, was getting those night rides in. And I know Carl Eichelman, when he was riding the Beast, I mean, he loved it too. And normally he was only there until 3 or 4 in the afternoon. He'd head off to work because he worked night shift at the IRS. But he was off for the holidays. And he would show up at the park around 4 o'clock, get his 5 or 6 rides in, and he wouldn't even watch the fireworks. He would just stay back there ready to ride the Beast, and he'd pick up 4 or 5 rides, which is a lot for the Beast in a 90-minute period back, especially back in that day. So I missed that part of it, but overall, though, if you're looking for something to do on the 4th of July with your family, your friends, definitely consider heading out to Kings Island. They got, you can save money buying tickets online if you don't have a season pass. And I think it would just be something that is going to beat watching the fireworks in your backyard or just going to the local park, neighborhood park to watch it. So make plans, go to Kings Island, check it out, and just have a day of fun, thrills, and fireworks.
And then deal with the traffic at 10 o'clock when everybody leaves. But I guess I don't think it would be busier than like a semi-busy Saturday, because I think fireworks and stuff like that and everybody being off will draw people to the park. But equally speaking, there's a lot of competition. There's Blue Ash has their fireworks. I think they were on the 4th last year. They might be this year, but I want to hear from you, the listeners. So as of the dropping of this recording, it's July 3rd, so there's one day to decide. But what are your plans for the 4th of July? And let me ask you this too. If Kings Island were open until midnight, would that influence your decision to go to Kings Island over going to other places for the 4th of July, or even the 3rd of July? That would almost make more sense, because everybody's off on the 4th. Not everybody's off on the 5th. Put it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. All right. So, you want to keep on talking about Kings Island, Don? Because I've got an idea.
Sure. All right. What's your idea?
My idea is this. So we're looking at Twitter, and you tweeted this out, to be clear, because I don't want to play the pronoun game or anything. But with Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger complete, would you like to see Action Zone at Kings Island rethemed to DC Universe? So you and I have discussed this at length, because I don't want to see Looney Tunes replace Peanuts. I like the Peanuts better. DC I'm not horribly fond of, but you talk about a lock that fits the perfect key is retheming Action Zone to DC Universe. Something that needs something concise on top of an IP that has a lot of substance to it. But I'm going to share your thoughts with this. So Mario 909, hopefully not. It would just feel out of place. A unique or original theme would work much better. So Mario, I'll ask you this. What kind of theme would you like to see in Action Zone? Something unique. You have anything in mind that you'd like to see? Don, why don't you take the next one?
Let me pull it up on my...
Oh, yeah. To be fair, it's probably way smaller on your side than mine.
Much smaller. And I refuse to wear the readers, even though age where I would not be able to
respect you with the readers.
No. I refuse to wear those. So you read Mario, right? Was the first one
Yeah,
there?
so you're down to Daniel Statnick.
Yeah, he says I don't want them to retheme Banshee, but the rest kind of doesn't matter to me, as there have been already different names for those rides. Fair
I'm
enough.
with you on that one. I love the Banshee name. I love the Banshee theme. I don't want it to become Batman.
But I will say
I,
this, Daniel, you got to be all in. You can't just do a few things there and oh, let's leave that because I like that name. It's got to be all in. If you're going to have an area themed to DC Universe, it's all got to be DC Universe.
right. Then next, Matthew Lavin said, "Nah, a spooky theme would be much cooler. I think it would be more ideal if they just create an entirely new area if they want to have a DC theme." Okay, Matthew, where would you want to see this new area? I'm intrigued. I honestly like to start from scratch and make a DC thing would be awesome. But I
Yeah,
don't know where they would do it. You know,
I have an idea, but take out Timberwolf, make it there. If you're not going to use Timberwolf, that'd be a spot
uh,
you could do it.
your vendetta against Timberwolf.
Special Vehicle Team says no. We love the originality of Kings Island. Hope it remains that way. Don't mess with a good thing.
I'm not completely against you on that one, special vehicle team.
I do think this though. Okay, the names of the rides in Action Zone work, but the way that area looks, it's a concrete jungle out there, so it definitely needs some love, and it needs a refresh.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that would bother me is, you've got the Bat, which they would probably make Batman if they didn't make Banshee Batman. But that's paying tribute to the old Bat, so that's kind of taking a piece of history away if they did that. You know,
Yeah, as long as they have the Batmobile out front as a prop.
CP Coaster Lover said, "No, it just needs to be given a spooky theme. The coasters there already support that type of theme." So that's not the first person to say that. I thought that was the direction that I guess it was you guys were going when Banshee was put in. That all of Action Zone would end up being like a dark universe kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, Jacob does everything says I think the issue is you'd have to retheme 3 popular coaster names with names and repaint them all. I think Bat can easily be changed to something like Batman related or Joker related. But yeah, I mean, I think we're due for a lot of those rides in Action Zone needing a repaint anyway.
Mm-hmm. eHolder75 said no. Okay. I'll go ahead and do another one.
Go ahead.
The Jared Express said only if that's the only way that we are willing to update the area. So out of desperation, the Jared Express is on board.
He's on board, yes, because we need it updated. Just goes by ass. Said, I'm thinking the area could use a refresh. It's one of the areas of the park which definitely needs more resources, but maybe not a superhero theme. There isn't enough there for a theme of that type to work to fit.
My only thought is that the big concrete jungle that is Action Zone could use theming within it, and that's where DC comes into play. I'm not super excited about making in Vertigo the Joker and Drop Tower like Catwoman falling out of a window or whatever. I'm not all in favor of that, but I think that the area itself lacks personality. Nelly said never. Okay. Laura Luke said, as far as I'm concerned, the new IPs are the only good thing about the merger. I think it would be great. Well, I'm glad, Laura. I'm glad you like the new IPs, and that does open a lot of doors. Like that's one of the things that Don and I have been trying to emphasize is that we're not tied to just Snoopy at this point. We want to see Snoopy stay, but he can have some friends in the Looney Tunes world, and
Yeah.
Batman or whatever.
We'll skip down to Brian Wells. He says, honestly, I don't think it matters. The chains as a whole need to make sure everything is running daily before adding or changing a name. He's got a good point there. There's a lot that needs to be addressed before you maybe start tinkering with some of the different name changes of rides or rethemes of an area.
Yeah, I mean, put one foot in front of another, and I don't think that if they did a large capital expenditure to retheme this, that it would be at the cost of, hey, we haven't retracked the racer in 5 years, but we're going to paint this ride black and call it Batman instead. I think this is going to be, they'll add some flats or something like that, put in some rock work, and they'll call it DC Universe or something.
Mm.
Sea Monkey 50 said, if they do DC, maybe start fresh with the old Vortex piece of land and build back from there. It'll be a transition from the Americana Coney Mall. Well, with Epic Monsters Land, the idea of a spooky theme around Banshee seems like a good direction that people are excited about. I think that this person is onto something in terms of I think that the Epic universe, like the Dark universe, might spur that interest where smaller chains and smaller regions and stuff like that think that maybe a year-round scary thing would be something that would draw people.
All right, Kitty. She says, nope, they can keep the corny Six Flags names at their parks. Kings Island and Cedar Point should be left alone when it comes to the rides and the theming. They are already higher rated on most lists than any Six Flags parks, just the way they are.
Oh, snap. Well,
All right, read one more there, Ryan.
Well, I'll read two more because Happy said "No God, no" in all caps. So I want to make sure that Happy was recognized. But Out of the Lumbach said, "I want nothing to do with it at Kings Island. It's good the way it is with the names." Don, I was too young to remember, but was this the attitude of like a lot of the Paramounts times during like 92,
Oh, yeah.
93? Like,
yeah, I mean, when it went from that ownership to Paramount, and they were pretty excited. Let's put it this way: when Paramount bought the park, everyone was excited about the opportunity. Universal had just recently opened, so everyone was thinking, especially Paramount, that the entertainment was going to be off the charts good and everything. Well, that was one of the things they cut was entertainment. One of the first things that went was that. But yeah, there were some things that were changed, or people didn't like. I guess the way they described it was they didn't like being paramounted to death. They would walk in on the entrance plaza, and there would be the billboards of all the movies that were playing, and they'd walk inside the park and hit with more stuff. And I think it was a little bit too much too soon when that first happened, so there wasn't a lot of excitement. But a lot of you're one of the people that your introduction to Kings Island, what you remember about it was the Paramount years, so that's the way it was. And then when Cedar Fair came in and took out that branding, everyone thought it was too generic and all that. But the old school people who grew up with the park in the 70s, the 80s, they loved what Cedar Fair was doing. So I guess it really just depends on what years, what era you became a Kings Island fan, what you think is the right way to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I visited once in the Linder era, and then the next year is when Paramount bought the park. So that's why. So did it? I think that they bought it in '92, but it was rebranded in '93.
93, right? Correct.
Okay. So
and that was just one. Yeah, that was one of the things for me that I was the old school. Visiting Kings Island from '72. I didn't like the way they were doing it, especially because it was more too commercialized, and it wasn't all in to the degree that I thought it could be with how Universal was doing it. And I saw the entertainment being slashed from where in the 80s they could have 15, 18 different, if you're counting the roving performers and all that, there could be 18 different things going around the park in one day, down to 2 shows, that kind of thing. So for me, it wasn't the prime years under Paramount. They had great people working there, but I don't think in terms of the product being offered, those weren't the best years.
Yes. Now, I remember I hosted a KIC event at Kings Island. This was probably 10 years ago at this point. And I was taught, like, there was these 2 girls that were like, 16 to 20, that kind of range. And they were like, they worked in catering, and I was helping them clean up afterward. And I said something about like, oh, when Paramount owned the park, which to me was like the day before in my mind, but they had no idea that Paramount, like, that just shows the gaps where it's like, I've got friends that are young enough where they have some sort of minor recollection that Paramount owned the park. It's kind of like me remembering it before Paramount. But when Paramount bought the park, they switched Swoop or Thunder Run or whatever to Top Gun, and that theme was awesome. We got to find footage of the under the station stuff. I remember that being when the missile would come up and all that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
that would be so cool if we could find that. And then they went on, like, Flight of Fear is still like just beautifully themed. Not long after that, Viacom buys Paramount Pictures. Now that opened up some opportunities because now the park had access to Nickelodeon, MTV, and all those. They put in Nickelodeon Central.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel like Nickelodeon Central right now is every bit as good as like a kids area, the Woody Woodpecker, or maybe even the DreamWorks stuff at Universal, where it was just like there's nothing like super high, like no animatronics or anything like that, but it was like everything there was thoughtful, and the
Right.
slime was everywhere, and you really felt like you were in the back lot. Well, not really. You felt like you were in front of that now office building that was Nickelodeon Studios. And then Viacom quickly lost interest in the parks, and that's why you got your Italian Job stunt tracks and stuff. But
Yeah. Now I will tell you this: I was at Six Flags Great America
mm-hmm.
in Chicago, actually Gurnee, Illinois. But I thought, everything that they did there, whether it was Looney Tunes or DC Universe, I thought it all looked really good, around the park. We have the Peanut sculpts and that, and Planet Snoopy, but and also Camp Snoopy. But seeing the Looney Tunes sculpts around the park,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool. I grew up watching Looney Tunes, so for me, there was a connection there. Uh, but I thought, the signage, the names of the rides, and it all kind of blended together and worked pretty well there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more and learning more. They released a frequently asked questions on all of the Cedar Fair website, probably the Six Flags ones too. I just didn't check, but they said that your pass will not get you into the Six Flags parks, but they understand the value of. They basically spilled the beans that they're going to be doing that, whether it's here in a couple months for the 2025 season. Yeah, I forgot what year it was for a second, or the following year. I'm almost certain it's 2025. I'd bet anything on it, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. But
So the interesting thing for me is this: okay, I have a Six Flags pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a Kings Island pass, which has the all park passport. My Six Flags is the Diamond Pass, so I get access to all the different properties and that. So when it comes time to renew, say for 2025, and they do offer that pass, that does allow you to visit all the parks. It's complicated for me because do I renew via Six Flags Great America, where my pass was purchased from, or Kings Island? So how's that going to work for somebody that has passes for both? Because you have to pick one or the. I mean, it's all going to be the same now, but pricing is so much different. I mean, the pass at when I got it at Six Flags, it was only $110. I mean, it was a tremendous deal. I couldn't say no. That's why I got it, because it was just such a compelling offer. So
Six Flags has always had the weirdest ticketing, though. Now, Grant, this is coming from like 2 Six Flagses ago, but I remember at Kentucky Kingdom, it was like $50 to go or $45 for a season pass. There's
a lot of oddities there, and I saw the signage, throughout the park, and it was blended in nice. It wasn't like in your face to where it was obnoxious, but there was a lot of, reminding everyone to upgrade their admission ticket to a season pass for a real, minimal fee. And but no, I'm just looking forward to seeing how that's all going to work. If that is offered, I'm interested in that. But I'm like the 99.9% of the people that would get that pass. I'm not going to 40 something properties with that. I'm going to visit Kings Island, probably Cedar Point, Carowinds, maybe Kings Dominion, Six Flags Great America, maybe Six Flags Over Georgia. So 7 or 8 parks is what I think the majority at the most are going to visit. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't think the price is going to be, some people I saw speculating it's going to be like $1,000. No one's going to spend $1,000 for that. So
if the diamond pass is $1,000, it better have diamonds in the actual pass.
That's right.
Saying.
That's right. All right.
And my gold pass better be going. All right.
We appreciate everyone. Yeah, we appreciate everyone that responded to our post on X. We like interacting with our followers, so be sure to follow us on X. So it's Tower_Topics, and we'll start doing some giveaways too on there later this summer. We get into the fall where you might have a chance to win one of these T-shirts that Ryan and I are wearing.
Yeah,
but if
exactly.
you don't win, you can still purchase them. They're just $22. That includes the shipping. and they come in, whatever size that you would need. And once you make your purchase, it only takes a matter of days to get it shipped out to you. And if you want one, Ryan, tell them what they got to do.
Reach out to us. Send us a direct message on X at tower_topics and let us know. And we will send you the Venmo link to pay. Once you pay, just tell us the size and where you want it shipped, and we'll have it out to you in just a couple days. If you don't have X, if you have any other way of getting a hold of us, this is kind of an informal process. Hit us up on our own personal Facebooks. Hit us up on Tower Topics Facebook. It's all good. Yeah, but these shirts, they're awesome. We both wore ours today. So, we talk about uniformity around the parks. You're worried about that. Well, you can stand out while having a picture of the Eiffel Tower on your shirt.
I do got to say, Ryan, there's been a number of people that have purchased the shirt, and I've seen them at Kings Island. They come up to me, they're wearing the shirt, and they tell me how much they love the logo. Props to you, Ryan. You spent time designing. I know you worked on several different versions of it, and what you ended up as the final product. I think it looks really sharp.
Yeah, and I'm such a perfectionist that I'm actually building another one that fulfills my. That's why when you guys watch the show, especially on YouTube, the graphics may be different from one episode to the next because I get a different idea and I build it, and sometimes I'm like, nah, I like the old one better, and I used it for one episode. So we don't have uniformity yet, but one day, Don, when we have like McDonald's sponsoring us, I'm gonna have to make decisions, But yes, we will be right back with the listener questions. All right. Listener question number 1. So this is from Bob M. in Milford, Ohio. He said, with the merger between Six Flags and Cedar Fair complete, do you think we'll see the $1.30 extra charge on food orders that the six parks do being applied at Kings Island? Now, I've heard $1.30, but I've also is it $1.30 or is it a percentage? I know that SeaWorld does 5%.
It's $1.30. That's what the signage is. I've seen guests posting, visiting the different Six Flags park, posting that signage that appears in the restaurants, and it's been consistent at $1.30. And I saw $1.30 at Six Flags Great America. When you think about it, $1.30. You're buying your pass. You're paying for parking. For me, driving 5 hours to get there. What's $1.30? You think, right? But I don't know. I mean, you could have just added that onto the price of the food, maybe, and had it hidden a little bit more. But I don't have a problem with it.
I think it's entirely dishonest. I think that it's giving the illusion that things are cheaper than they are. I mean, it's bad enough. Most countries, when you buy something, it includes tax. So if something's $5, the tax is built in. But for us, you've kind of got to calculate it on your own. But with this, it's like you think something's $20 and it's actually 21 something. Which, if you're buying a hoodie or something like that for $40, who cares about $1.29? But
yeah, but there's no surprise though. I mean, it is clearly stated at the restaurants that there is this $1.30 extra charge.
Right. But what it comes down to is when people are posting the calculations for like a bottle of water is like $7 now or $8 or something. It was just something absurd. So right. I honestly I think the prices are so high that they're kind of dumb anyway. We're not talking about a 5-star restaurant even when the food is good. So charging $22 a plate. This thing's been circulating recently about an $18 slice of pizza. I think that to tack on $1.30 or whatever to that, it wants me to know why. I get cost of stuff's up, labor's more expensive, but you also charge 5 times what this is outside of the park. So that's a cash grab, in my opinion. My prediction is that Zimmerman won't stand for something like that. That's going to go away chain wide. Six Flags and the acquisition parks, the Cedar Fair parks.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little more consistency across the board too, and the pricing of the food. You can go to different parks, even in Cedar Fair, and you're going to see some different ranges of pretty much the same product at other parks. So I'd like to see a little more consistency there. Thanks for the question, Bob.
Yeah, good question. And if they do that, we're certainly going to do an episode on it, and we'll do everybody's reactions, which I imagine won't be fantastic. Um, Kip L from Fort Thomas, Kentucky. Do you think that the new Six Flags company will offer a season pass that provides access to all former Cedar Fair and Six Flags parks? If so, at what price?
Yes, I do
Certainly.
think that there will be that pass option that'll get you into all those parks. I don't think the price, as I mentioned a little earlier, I don't think it's going to be as outrageous as some have speculated, in that $500,000-$800,000 range. I don't think it'd be, my own personal opinion, not substantially higher than what the all park passport is right now.
Yes, because when we talk about going from 17 parks to 42 or whatever, that's only a benefit on paper. And you and I may have discussed this on the pod itself, but nobody, by nobody I mean like you and maybe a dozen other people, Don. Nobody buys a Cedar Fair all park passport and goes to more than just Cedar Point. You're part of the 1%. There's some people go on coaster trips and stuff, but that's the minority. Most people who buy it because they make a trip to Cedar Point every year. To make that trip to Cedar Point cost $500 now because you can get into Six Flags Magic Mountain or New Jersey or whatever, that's like a miscarriage of business. It's not going to happen. Will they charge more? Yes, I do anticipate prices going up for everything, not just season passes. But it's not going to be, oh, it's double the park, so it's double the price. That would be, nobody would pay for that.
Now, you mentioned New Jersey. If you were to drive from where you live, Ryan, and you were going to go to Six Flags Great Adventure, it's going to cost you more in tolls than what it's going to cost you to buy this pass, probably.
Oh yeah, or even just driving through Pennsylvania, that turnpike, every 100 feet, it's $4.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember last year when I went to Hershey Park. We did, it was the online version of these tolls. You don't think about it while you're driving, then all of a sudden it comes in the mail. Hey, $123.
Yeah, so I've rented cars in Florida, and Florida has a lot of tolls. And a lot of the places where I've rented, it's just been like, just drive through the tolls and we'll charge your card. Recently, I've been loyal to Hertz, and the one downside to Hertz is that they'll charge the toll to your card plus $13.95 surcharge. Speaking of surcharges, so yes. I don't want to do that, obviously, but oh yeah, those things add up. But yeah, fantastic question.
We're only about 8 weeks away from when season passes traditionally would go on sale for both the former Cedar Fair and the old Six Flags. So if they continue with that same time frame, and I would imagine that they would, I'm looking forward to seeing what the different options, what they come up with. Overall, I'm very excited about the merger. I think there's some great opportunity there, and looking forward to seeing what I'm going to be able to do with a season pass.
I'm excited because it's already done, and now there's nothing I can do about it. So I can either accept it or I can whine on social media. And I'm choosing to accept it is what I'm doing.
Well, that's all good, right. Ryan. I'm happy you are.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your support. All right. Hey, I'm Ryan Sir along with Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.